Welcome every one of you to the last session of this two days conference. I am speaking to a Portuguese audience mainly, I suppose. I see some similarities with average. What is the biggest rock festival you have in Portugal?
Rock festival?
Yeah. Sorry?
Super rock.
Okay.
It's a festival with a beer name.
So, and who's the headliner? Who was the headliner last year? Okay. So that's one thing that we have in common. We have in this festival called Play, we have the headliners saved for the last session. So these are the big names. I also see a difference with rock festivals. Usually, when Arctic Monkeys plays there, then that is the moment when you have the biggest audience. That's when everybody comes, and then afterwards everybody goes home. In the conference, it's usually a little bit different. Even if we have the headliners in the last session, there's quite some audience that might already have left. But I'm very happy with the ones who stayed here, with the hardliners who decided to be with us until the end. So thank you so much for staying with us, and I hope you will also have the chance to share your thoughts with us later on in the session. Festivals are at the end of the production line. We had sessions the last 2 days about different stages of production. We had writers, we had a session about education, we had a session about production and filmmaking, about exhibitors. And at the end of this chain are the festivals, bringing content to the audiences, content that could be national, like also in Play. We had a couple of fantastic Portuguese short films, and content that can be international, to show kids, to show to your audience that kids around the world have similar challenges and problems to deal with. So a festival can make the world look really small, and you can look at your own neighbors, but it can also at the same time bring the world closer to the audience and invite the whole world into your festival city or festival initiative. So, that was too ambitious. The last 2 days, a lot of what we discussed was about the things we don't have. We don't have the channels, we don't have the budget, we don't have the tradition, we don't have the stories, we don't have the books, we don't have the cinemas. But you do have the festivals. So that's something you do have. At least you have 2 or 3. I think we have already here in this room represented 3 different festivals, 2 in Lisbon, 1 in Porto. And I'm sure you have even more.
Yes.
Do you? Yeah.
For children, like festivals, not really, just for children, but we have another festival, 2 festivals that have section. We have other festivals like Doc Lisboa or Mostra. Doc is for documentaries, or Mostra it's for animation, focus on animation, that also have sections for children.
Okay. So you do have them. You should be proud about them. We are proud about them. And these festivals are ambitious, and they want to contribute to a national children's film landscape. Festivals are about bringing films closer to the people, and every festival does it in its own specific way. And I'm really happy to welcome a few of them here on stage. They all have their own way of bringing films to the audiences. And I can say that the festivals here represented are remarkable and unique events. We have Marketa Pasmova representing the Zlin Film Festival in Czech Republic, and we have Pantelis Panteloglou representing the Olympia Film Festival in Pyrgos, Greece. They came here as ambassadors of 2 of the most fantastic, inspiring and sparkling festivals on the European continent, and they both combine a strong local roots with a massive international appeal. So that's typical, for me at least, for the festival profile, is this combination. Irina Raimundo represents a Portuguese festival in another big city, Porto, but you also have part of your activities here in Lisbon, and Sergio Ramos as a football player. So that was a massive, yeah, it was a massive, massively interesting mistake. So Sergio's shorting uses an inflatable cinema to bring content to children in their very own environment, which means all around the country. So I would like to ask all of you to introduce yourself in maybe 2 minutes. Many of your festivals started, and I think we also speak here about the Play Festival. Many of the festivals started as individual initiatives set up by engaged individuals and then grew into bigger events. How much is your... No, that's a question for later. Let's first introduce your festivals briefly, and some of you also brought moving or non-moving images to do that. So first, explain a little bit, what is this event that you represent here, and how would it look to the audience?
You are looking at me, so me first? Okay. So hello everybody. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much for inviting me, because it's always very inspiring for me. And this is also the reason why I travel to the festivals, because it's about inspiration, about the networking, and of course about the new great films for children. So my name is Marketa Pasmova, and I am artistic director of the Zlín Film Festival, which is the festival based in the Czech Republic, in quite small city Zlín. And I think that maybe the best way how to introduce our festival could be some very short reel, but it's 3 minutes, it's not 2 minutes. Because I think it's very important how to understand better the background about our festival, because it's really a special event, so please.
Still a sleepy, poor village just 120 years ago. But growing up in it was one exceptionally industrious boy with a head full of ideas. He was trained as a cobbler. Despite initial failures, he gradually built a company of immense will. Inspired by visiting America, he built a modern shoemaking factory. Equally staggering as his shoe manufacture and influence of the company was how the village grew into a city, housing quarters and civic buildings galore. This man's name was Tomáš Baťa. You certainly know the shoes by that name. When he perished in a plane crash, his brother Jan continued in the efforts to do business on all fronts. So he even ventured into the film industry. In the mid-1930s, there stood beyond the city, in quiet, natural surroundings, a studio for advertisement and educational films. After World War II, they began making films for children here. They started in animation, but feature films followed soon. Emerging here was a young but talented Karel Zeman. He soon began to fascinate the world with his creation and to take home important awards and prizes for his work. You must know his classic, Journey to the Beginning of Time. Maybe you enjoyed some of his other famous movies, such as The Fabulous World of Jules Verne, Baron Prachiel, or The Stolen Airship. So that the Zlín filmmakers could present what they had filmed over the year, they established their small festival in 1961. Soon, they began screening films from outside Czechoslovakia, and the festival took on its international persona. Mainly in recent years, we've been experiencing quite a boom. The festival is not only the oldest, but also the world's largest, one of its kind. Over 100,000 people come to visit it, where we screen 300, and in some years, even up to 350 movies from around the world. An exceedingly interesting community meets here in Zlín each year.
So it is our festival. This year we will have a 63 edition already. We screen almost 300 films each year from, let's say, around 50 countries around the world. We have 6 competitive sections, and we are dedicated for films for children, juniors, youth. We also have a competition for short animated films for children till 12 years, and we have also section for student films, international competition. I think maybe we can speak about it later, but we have also the supporting program, which is very important part of our festival, and of course, industry program for film professionals.
That's a topic that surely will be on discussion later. I would now like to move to Pantelis to tell something about the Olympia Film Festival.
Yeah, Olympia, I'm Pantelis Panteloglou. I'm the Deputy Artistic Director of the festival. The festival started back in 1997 by the initiative of one person, which is Dimitris Spirou, the Artistic Director of the festival, still. Since then, it started, quite small. Felix was there actually in the first festival, and then it grew up to the largest such event in the country, in Greece. There is a video here, but I'm not sure if do we have the time to watch it? It's just atmosphere. I can talk over it, but it's also atmosphere. So let's see a little bit, and then I'll talk. This is not a very nice town, but we're in the south-west of Greece, near ancient Olympia. And we present 4 different competition sections, actually around 75, 80, 85 films per year, and also a number of other films and tributes, special screenings, etc. The overall attendance in the main event this year was around 30,000, including all people like Felix, of course. Our main venue is the Municipal Theatre, and this is also another very nice festival space in nearby Amaliada. It's a regional event. It's a big regional event in an area where there is no cultural activity whatsoever, or very small cultural activity, not to underestimate the others. At this point, we are having this program contract with the Ministry of Culture of Greece and also the regional government. So our main budget comes from these 2 sources, and then we're looking around for other resources to make the festivals. We have also Camera Zanio. Camera Zanio it was 22nd edition this year, which is a meeting of youth audiovisual creation. So it's films made by children and youth, around 250 every year. So this year we had around 280 guests from international and also national. There's Ness. Also, she was in the documentary section. Many workshops, many other things happening. This is an old abandoned open-air cinema, and this is Alain Begala, our president of the jury for this year. So it's workshops, it's films, it's Camera Zanio, and it's also professional activities that I suppose we will be talking about later on. It has, yeah, you can just have the sound go and.
Not really. So, please, Irina, can you tell me about different initiatives that you represent here on stage today?
So my name is Irina. I work mainly since a long time ago for Indie Lisboa. Indie Lisboa, as you know, it's a festival here in the city that is going for its 20th edition now, in April, May. And since the beginning, the Indie Lisboa has a section for children and adolescents because the directors at the time thought that it would be very important to work since the beginning for that public. 7 years ago, we had the chance to start this same cultural association to start a festival in the second bigger city in Portugal, that is Porto. So since then we are trying to develop as a bigger space to program for children in that city, children, families and schools. And that's our main target. So we program, we always choose films that go around it's being done in the films at the moment. So try to take this perspective of what is the film industry in a way, but what are the questions of our time in our program. We focus mainly on short films, not only because it's a gender that I think it works very well when you have sections for, when you try to program for children and young audience, because you can have in the same session a lot of different genders like fiction, documentary, animation, and that is very good to get a start in the cinema. Also because it's not so usual, at least here in Portugal. And there's another thing, that is feature films are most expensive for us to program, so sometimes we cannot do it. But that's not just the case, but I think
Irina, were you planning to show some pictures at the same time, or did you?
More or less, I think it's nice to have pictures because we are visual. So I thought it would be nice, but maybe later we can talk a little bit, because I was focusing mainly on images that were related with our education, a relationship with not only families but with schools. So I was thinking about bringing some images about what we do in Porto and in Lisbon, but mainly in Porto, because in Porto we can develop more the program that here in Lisbon. So that's it.
Okay. So then we go to the famous football player sitting next to you. Sergio, your event is somehow a bit different. You don't work in one city, you don't work in one festival, you don't work in one time slot. Actually, you work year-round, everywhere. That's like the burden on your shoulders. Can you tell us a little bit about how hard you're working and where you're doing it?
Yeah, just a little explanation. I belong to a non-profit collective of people that are people from cinema, directors, curators, anthropologists, sociologists, teachers, and we have this non-profit collective with the mission of creating new experience of experience the cinema to new audiences. We work a lot with open-air cinema, and 10 years ago we dreamed about an inflatable cinema that could be something for the kids. It took us 5 years to build it, to create it, to have the finance to start to experience this project, and in 5 years ago we could do it, and it was in the first month it was a big success.
Say it the Portuguese way.
Yeah.
Shush, shush, shush.
Sucesso. So, when we start this, we were interested in do and show in this easy building inflatable cinema that it's directed to kids and could be placed in everywhere, in every place. We were interested in show most diversity that we can show inside, because the cinema is full of alterity and full of diversity. And the first thing we did was contact festivals around the world, so all kinds of festivals in Europe, but in Latin America, in USA, in Japan, to ask them if they can share with us his programs that they have, like a selection of the best of film festivals, and we can show that in inflatable cinema. And that way we get more success, because more people knew about the cinema. We have lots of diversity, and we've been around all Portugal in these 5 years, but we already been in your festival, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in Norway, in Sweden, and we are going to Romania, to United Kingdom, and in the future we are going more places. But yeah, the idea of this cinema is that this is an easy building theater that could be each day in different place, and the festivals can also use it to promote all around the area where they have in festivals. Imagine in Malmö in Sweden, we were there 1 week before the festival, and we've been around small villages around the city where is the festival, and show a best of the festival to the kids that never went to the festival. So it's like what we use. If you can show the video without sound, you can see what is this crazy idea, but it works. It goes up in 1 hour and a half. It goes up building all the technical, so in 1 hour and a half we can build it up. Inside we are very careful about the technical conditions, because we want the kids, some of these kids are having this first experience in cinema, so it must be technical quality excellence, because it's the first experience, so we are very concerned about that. And yes, 30 seats as you can see, these blue seats. When it's kids ages 3 to 5, it could be 60. Since the beginning, we almost made more than 80,000 audience, because we have to report now, we belong to Europa Cinemas, and we have to report the information about audience, and because in 1 day we can make an old school audience, so it's very easy to do audience in Inflatable Cinema, and the kids love it.
Yeah, but it's a really inspiring initiative. In Belgium, I'm involved in one festival. We had the Portuguese team coming over with the inflatable cinema. It allowed us for the first time to leave the city center and go into the different, surrounding neighborhoods that normally as a festival is very hard to reach them, because you have your own typical audience, which is often, in our case, a white middle class established audience, and it helps so much that you have this specific tool to get into the different regions and different quartiers and find a new audience there. So, for instance, the Belgian festival is now asking to copy your idea, but you have a lot of interest. It's a strong concept that you developed, and that seems to work wherever you go.
Yeah, and I think it's going to happen in Belgium and in the Netherlands. They are going to do a partnership and create their own inflatable cinema. But I will be there saying, you must be very exigent with the technical quality, because for kids, you must be. It's like the first experience. The first experience must be the real cinema experience.
This is really important, and I like it a lot, really, because this is very important thing.
Yeah.
We don't like to talk about money. I mean, personally, I think it's not a very exciting subject. It seldom makes me listen very carefully, but we have to address it, especially since we are a guest at the Play Film Festival. I want to find out, and so let's keep your answers really short. But how much is your event depending on national or international support and funding? In other words, remembering all the talks we had the last few days about the things that were not there, can a festival survive in an environment that does not actively support a children's film culture? How easy would it be for a festival to survive in that environment?
I have to say that our festival is really very big, because our audience is almost 100,000 people. And it means that also our budget is really huge, and support from the government or from the public money is half and half. So festival is organized by private companies, so we have to find the money in different parts of our small country, because Czech Republic has only 10 million inhabitants, and the population is quite small, so it's always very, very difficult. But because we have a long traditional, it's all already established even, so that could be easy to do it.
In our case, the festival is almost 100% public money. The companies, actually there are two companies. One of them is a non-profit and the other is it's a cooperative. It's called social cooperative. This is actually there's a law about this kind of stuff in Greece. So the festival company is a social cooperative, but we have the program contract and we also seek European money. We also seek other national support, national television, this kind of stuff. In the end, we have something that is enough to do the festival. We could do with more, but.
Katerina, don't run away. This was like a kind of open invitation that if you want, sooner or later, you can also share about.
For the microphone.
Okay.
Sorry, and we don't have tickets actually. There's no.
You don't have tickets.
We don't have tickets at all because about 10 years ago, during the crisis, there was this decision that we're not going to ask for ticket money from the audience. So we're restructuring more or less some public money into a meaningful event.
I can talk of different situations. For Indie Lisboa, we are supported for a lot of national institutions, also by sponsoring, private sponsoring, and for the media. So there's some money coming from Europe. So we have a big structure that has a lot of workers. So that's something very important. We are working in decent ways, like with everything okay. But for instance, in Porto, what happens is that we don't have so much money. We only work with the public finances these days. There were some editions ago, we had a security sponsoring, but we don't have it anymore since the pandemic times. And we can have this going on because of the support of the bigger festival in Lisboa. That's why.
So me is different. We only work when we don't have a fixed team working. We only work when they call us. Usually festival call us and pay, or sometimes schools call us and they don't have money. We ask support to the city halls, or we ask support to the Cinema Portuguese Institute, ICA. We had some supports from some European funds, and we have support from Europa Cinemas. But we are free because we are not a team working every day for the Inflatable Cinema. We only work when we have work.
So just to be clear about this, I'm a completely neutral position that I'm holding here. I have no idea who is my audience. Maybe there's people here from the National Film Fund. Maybe there's people here from the big sponsor companies.
We are on YouTube also. It's screening, it's being live presented to YouTube, so we don't know.
So, but that's why now that you hear about the situation in other festivals, how would it be for you?
We have a different situation. We never received funds from the film funds. All the festivals in Portugal receive it, I think, almost of all of them. Yes, yeah, of course. But we have a small fund from the City Hall. And when COVID came, the film funds, there were 19 projects applying for the contest of, there's a special contest for festivals, and 2 of them went out, no, 3 of them, us and Azores, one in the Islands and one in the Algarve, and then they decided that since this COVID situation, they should fund us with a small amount. So this is how we got this fund from the film fund.
But we were always dependent on public money from the city hall or whatever. Although sometimes we get some people to, like Gulp, one year we had this huge white company giving us some money, but with COVID things have gotten worse, so, but this year it's coming back.
Okay, thank you. So that was the chapter about money. Having said all this, we can now go to more maybe inviting topics, but at least I thought it was needed to have this cleared out. I have a couple of topics that I think are related with festivals, and I will address one topic to each and every one of you, and then the other ones can comment about it afterwards. So let's start with Sergio. My main question for you is, you're bringing cinema to places where children have no access, or often have no access to the general cinema circuit. With all the content available online, why is it so important to find children, or to go and find them in their own environment?
Because I think some of the quality cinema that you have on the festivals, and the recent movies and movies from history of cinema, like Chaplin, short movies, Buster Keaton, all that movies are not really something that the kids and the parents go look online. So it's an opportunity to see something different that they usually see online. And it works. And we work a lot with schools. Sometimes we are in a school playground. Sometimes we are in a garden, and the schools comes to the garden with the kids and go inside. And when we say, this is a program from the Buff Film Festival in Sweden that we bring here in premiere, this works a lot for, and it's something very different. It's like a premiere of a group of short movies that never been showed in Portugal. And I'm showing them to the people who are not going to the festivals. So maybe I'm doing a little of work for the festivals. So, like promoting the idea that the festivals you can discover different things in festivals that you don't discover usually on TV or online.
But you said it works. When you were speaking about showing archive films, you said it works.
It works, yeah.
And what makes you say so? What makes you define that it works, and how do you measure it?
Yeah, we were very surprised, even as the team that work. Sometimes, imagine, I have some partnerships with festivals in the United States, and I think the movies that the festivals do in the United States are a little bit moralistic, you can say moralistic. And some of the movies we try to not to show, and then we show movies that we said, we think this one is not very good, but let's show. But it is our opinion. And then we go to the kids, and the kids have a completely different opinion about us, about what we think is the best for the kids. And sometimes, it's surprisingly, they prefer the best films, the films that we think, oh, this is very difficult for the kids, they will not understand, this is too poetic, too experimental, and they prefer that movies instead of movies that are very easy seeing or very usual, that are not very original. Because I think kids are very critic and are very exigent. Kids and youngsters, I think they are very exigent. Maybe because they have lots of audiovisual media around them, so now they want to see things that, if I go to the cinema, if I'm going to sit there for 1 hour, I want to see something that is really, really, really different. And sometimes the different is not special effects. Sometimes the difference is like the languages, the way the actors are dressing, the way they speak, the poetic. I think the kids are very powerful.
Is there something that some of the other panelists can add to the question that was basically about bringing films to children's own environment and bringing a type of films that maybe is a little bit different from the usual content they will find so easily?
Festivals are about curation. Actually, you select films that you don't expect to see otherwise. So if I mean the material that's already available to lots of people is not a curated material. So, and this is a process, obviously. It's not that we know everything and then We are just, checking the audience if they understand. It's also a process. It's like that. It's like what Sergio described. You're given an opportunity, and then you get the feedback.
But it's also about knowing your audience, I think.
I could add something. I think that, as we all know, cinema, it's a language about people. So I think that children are very open to everything, art in general. So when they see something, they are not like closing their mind. They are opening more and more their mind. And in cinema, it's a way for everyone to know each other itself better. So what I think about when we show these films that are not so normal to see in the mainstream, we could say, is that it's like when you read a book and you discover a little bit of you in that book. It's the same way in the cinema. Children can discover a little bit more of them in the things they are seeing. So
I absolutely agree, because our mission is to bring to children quality alternative to the commercial content of the cinemas, and I think that very important role of our festivals, like children's festivals, is to raise the audience. So it's very important for the future and for the filmmakers and cinema providers maybe, because we try to raise them really and make a film culture or cinema culture.
Okay. Marketa, let me pass the next topic on to you. Being the oldest festival of its kind in Europe, your event is strongly embedded.
In the world, Gert, really, I'm sure.
Yeah, but
it's not only in Europe.
Maybe there is a festival that has not yet been discovered. Maybe there is somewhere a place that we don't know about.
It was not discovered, it's not important. So we are really the oldest festival, but of its kind, of course, in the world, really. Sorry.
And you were already the director of the very first edition?
No, of course I was, because this 63 editions.
So, but you're strongly embedded in the local life of the citizens in your region. You told me that you, as well as a child, you went there. But even if your festival has a very strong international appeal, because you attract a lot of professionals and filmmakers and business people from around the entire continent. So even if you attract all these people, every professional that I heard that came to your festival is amazed about how the festival is visible in the entire city. And I can tell you about it, that when you walk through the city of Zlin and you walk through the park and you see hundreds of kids playing there, they are there because of the festival. And the local music academy is giving a concert on the bandstand, and it's because of the festival. And the local gymnast club is doing a performance because of the festival. And you go on the square and you see 100 kids dancing in front of a stage, and it's because of the festival. The festival is visible during that particular part of the year. It's visible in every street corner of the entire city. So how did you do that? How did you get so involved in the daily life of the citizens of Zlin?
Thank you very much for these kind words. You are always our ambassador. So, and Gert is also part of our team because he's involved in international PR. So, thank you very much. And you know, for me as a festival director in Zlin, is it really very nice, and it's great because Zlin is quite a small city. I'm not saying town, because this is a city, and as I already told, we have 80,000 inhabitants, and our audience is 100,000, which means that to Zlin are coming also the people from the region, and also from all the country, and of course from abroad as well. So I think that this success of the festival has maybe 4 aspects. The first of them is the long history, because really I was a child I used to go to the festival. So it's really part of our life in our city. The second thing is maybe the small city. Because if it's a small city, the festival could be visible everywhere. Because it's always very hard to do festival in the capitals or...
That will be my next question to Pantelis.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I skip it. And the third moment could be maybe the supporting program. Could I say now something about it? Because to the festival, like a film program and film festival, belongs also a very huge supporting program. As Gert already told you, it's mostly open air event because we have a lot of concerts, lots of performances, workshops, etc., etc. And this program is a sophisticated system of activities. They should open the festival to the wider audience and the wider public than are the traditional festival visitors. So this is maybe the reason. And the third part is the season, because our festival takes place in the end of May and at the beginning of June, which is very nice weather, and it's always nice to come to this city, because it's really different that you have a festival in winter or in autumn, especially in our country, of course.
maybe I should briefly share this anecdote with you that since every year I have the best week of the year, I'm having it in, it's there, like end of May, best week of the year is Lind Film Festival. And then I go home and then I tell my family, like, yeah, this is such a fantastic place, and this is really my second hometown, and when I'm there I feel so much among friends and colleagues, so this is like the best place on earth. And then last year we had a TV show in Belgium that was traveling like kind of an adventure show. We go from one city to another, and this year it was going in Czech Republic. So I told my family, the evening that they go to Zlin, then call me, because then I'll watch it together with you, and then I'll show you what a great city this is. And then the TV show was recorded in October, so we went to Zlin, and I was so excited. And my family was looking at the TV like, what a boring town is this? There's nobody out on the streets. It looks terrible. You want us to go there? This is your second hometown? It's a horrible place. So that was how I was misled by going there every year during the festival, when the whole world is there and everyone's going crazy, and the rest of the year not much is going on.
I can't say it's a boring city because of the political reasons maybe, but the perfect thing is that we don't have a competition, because in these small cities there is not so many possibilities to culture events, or so the people are focused on our festival. And what I already told, we raise our audience, so we have small children, then they grow up and they are going with their children to the cinema as well, so that's perfect. And it's possible, I think, only maybe in these small cities. It's more difficult to do it in big cities or capitals.
Which brings me to the next question, which is addressing Pantelis. In general, as Marketa said, festivals flourish better outside the capital. I think we have an interesting combination here on stage with people working in different kind of areas. There are exceptions, of course, like Cinekit, which is one of the biggest European festivals that takes place in Amsterdam, in the capital. But in general, children's film festivals will find a much more profitable environment in smaller cities, where people are really looking forward to this big event that will revive the whole town. What we're trying to find out here is if the Play Festival is actually taking place on the wrong location. That will be the conclusion of this whole question, will be that you have to move out to another...
No, I have to add something, because this situation with the small cities has also some problems because of the capacity of accommodation, because of the infrastructure, because we don't have an airport. So our closest airport is in Vienna, which is almost 3 hours, and in Prague is it more than 3 hours. So it's really, really complicated as well. So it's not so.
And
We should
actually
have
the
a
reason why Marketa says
teletransport.
this is because we really want to come back to Lisbon all the time because we love it so much here. But anyway, to stick to the question, Perigos is not a very flourishing town. It's not the capital. It's far from the capital.
It's far from the. It is the capital of the regional unit of Elis, but it's far from a capital city. It belongs to one of the 3 regional units of the Western Greece. The city itself is like 25,000 people. The municipality, which is a little bit broader, is like 45,000 people. The regional unit is 160,000. It's in a downward spine. I mean, the census that was held last year, the results show that there are municipalities within the regional unit with a less population than 10 years ago. One extreme example is a municipality of 20% less people staying there. So this is a challenging environment. Obviously, we do have the issues with infrastructure, the issue that the closest airport is in Athens, all this kind of stuff. At the same time, what you can have in these smaller places is to have a community feeling and also to engage many people in all different aspects of the actual organization of the festival. People volunteering, people helping in many different ways. There are so many things that happened in Pyrgos without any money because people would help. So it's not exactly. I mean, you have to balance. I think between if you want to do something that's international, you have to make sure that people, when they come, they understand the restrictions and the limits of the city. At the same time, this is the event itself is a way to push the limits, because you are absolutely on the limits. I mean, in hotels, for example, we always cover all hotels within the city of Pyrgos. Yeah, it's impossible. It's impossible to do it otherwise. And then we have many people staying in Katakolo, which is very nice, but it's 15 kilometers away, or in ancient Olympia, which is a little bit more, well-known brand name, but it's also 15, 20 kilometers away. And it's also December in our case, which is the opposite with what Marketa explained. Yes, but at the same time, you do have some issues with. In the summer you have there are flights. In the winter, it's not that many. Also, all this kind of stuff. In the end, what's the powerful part is I think the local community, and also the fact that in a small city, people, when they come in, they become like a big company of people. So it works. It's not only about presenting. I mean, we're not trying to create a program and then present this program to an audience, and then the audience is like we don't know them. It's the opposite, actually. So criticism is also coming in a much more direct way, which is also good overall.
Absolutely, but I'm now looking at Irina, because you are working in the 2 biggest cities of the country. So how do you experience this benefit or just non-benefit from being in the...
In Lisbon, I think as we will live here.
And I will address the same question to you afterwards, Teresa.
I think there's a lot of cultural events, so it's normal that people go. It's not like, I think, the festival. Even though I think for many people in the Lisboa, it's already like, we want, it's like in the agenda of many people, because it's all already, it has a lot of years now, so it's like something that's established in the city, so it's normal that there's a tradition. In Porto, we are very young. We have 7 edition. I think our main focus is in schools. How can we? Because we just have a weekend for families. So for now, that's not a big. We are not really working that public, that family public. We are working the schools, because it's like.
Which will be the next topic, by the way. We will talk about festivals working with schools. And what I want to find out now is how important is your location, the fact that you're in the capital, the fact that you're in a big city.
Yeah, I think at least for Porto, it's a little bit different of Lisbon. I think people in Porto want to go. I have this experience because.
It's the best.
It's the best. No, but it really it has to do also with the net of transports. It's better than in Lisbon. No, I think at least the schools come with no problem. Like, oh yes, we want to come. It's raining. It's okay, we go. So it's not a problem. So I think that we have a good reception. Maybe it's because there's not so much offer also. So that's a thing that, okay, the people discover that they like the product, if we could say product, and they come, they like it, think it's useful for them in their cultural lives, so they come.
What about you, Teresa? Are you considering to take the festival out of Lisbon and put it somewhere in a small town to...
No, we would like to grow and even go to other parts, but we're happy now in Lisbon. Of course, in Lisbon there are lots of offers. It's more difficult to reach people. At least schools, it becomes more difficult because teachers have other options. But we have lots of hotels and and we can receive a lot of people. So it's half and half. Every place where you can have a festival, wherever it goes, there's always good things and bad things about it. But I think for us being here, it's, at least for now, it's the right thing.
But on Saturday and Sunday, this cinema is full of kids and families. We play fest.
We have just a second, we have somebody from the audience who wants to react, and I'm sure Teresa will be so kind to share her microphone.
Hey, thank you for sharing your experience. I love the ideas of your festivals. I don't know if this is a question or a suggestion, but for example, I'm a producer and a director animation, and I founded my animation studio in Faro. Faro is a small town in south of Portugal with an airport and with a lot of infrastructures. We have hotels, we have everything there, and
We have a budget.
why? No, the budget, I don't know. But why Indie Junior is just in Lisbon and in Porto, and with so much potential there, why is not there? And also for Playfest.
I will propose.
I can help you if you want.
It's a good question, of
And
course.
also, I know the festivals for kids are not just animation, but we have probably the few university degrees, animation degrees in Portugal, is in Faro. And I don't know, there's so much potential there. Maybe people there, they don't know the potential that they have. So maybe they need people like you to, I don't know, to approach them. Maybe
One
the
of
city
the
hall, maybe the university, I don't know.
yeah, I think you know Miguel Valverde was here in the morning. He's from Portimão.
Okay.
He also had a festival there in the beginning when he
Portimão,
started this cinema thing. Maybe we should talk to him about that.
Well, I suggest Faro. We have the airport in Portimão. It's like 1 hour, okay?
Do you allow me an observation on that? I think it's kind of crucial. It's not you cannot fall with a parachute to make a festival somewhere. You need to have some kind of an organic relationship with the place, and obviously for Zlin this comes as a very natural thing. In the case of Pyrgos, it was built upon the initiative of Dimitris Spirou and the fact that he was born in the area. So you always need to have something that comes, from the heart of it, and the heart of it is the local situation. Then experts and know-how can.
Can I say one thing? I think he's completely right. It has to be under the skin. You can't just go and pick some place random. But we have been discussing there are even worse cases than Faro. There are places that there have no airports, there is nothing. Maybe
And you have discussed them?
Yeah, what?
You have discussed about going to places without airports and hotels?
Because
Yeah.
we don't go as a festival.
But I think very important thing is are the money, because if you have a lot of festivals maybe for children, you have to share the money. So it's not so easy because we have only 2 festivals in the Czech Republic. One as we and another one is very small, but still there is some competition from the public money, of course. So it could be difficult. But I have to tell you that I think that you have to be lucky because you can travel abroad with your films to our festivals. It's much better than travel to.
Sergio, do you have to add something? Because you are not organizing a festival, but you are going to places like... call Sergio. He comes with his inflatable cinema and...
But I will not stay. Yeah, I'll just go and then I come back. Because we go... we don't belong to any place, so it's not... I think you have in Faro, you have lots of problems in Portugal and in Faro as well, and but you have a cine club in Faro.
Cine club is awesome, but for example, I was, you know, at Celestine.
Yeah.
Okay, the second movie was they had the movie there last weekend, and was just, I don't know, 10 persons there. Not even the students from the university were there.
Yeah.
We have these connection problems.
You have problems because you don't have offers. That's a problem. Well,
this was an offer.
Yeah, but sometimes you need to work a lot to offer.
It's consistency.
Yeah,
it's a long way.
Yeah, it's a long
but
way.
Cine Club is offering every week.
Yeah,
every
the kids are easy because the kids come by schools.
Yeah.
It's easy to communicate with
It's
the kids.
organized.
But with adults, the cine clubs are very difficult. There was an event in Algarve, in Faro, that want us to, they invite me to organize the cinema in small villages in Algarve. And there is no, in small village, you don't have any place to show cinema. So we went to the churches with the priest. So we show cinema in the churches. And it was fun, but the people from the church only came to see the cinema because the priest said to them to come. So it's very difficult when you don't have habits to go to the cinema, when you don't have theater, when you don't have dance. You have to stay there. You have to have the government to invest and don't expect fast results because it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
And I tell you because we have 10,000 students, university students in our city, and even is our history really long, you can guess how many is attend our festival, because we are dedicated also for student films and films about children, which is not for children but for adults. Not zero, but really very small group of them, because they are not interested in it.
Thank you. And thank you for the intervention from the audience, which is always welcome, also in the next topics that we will address. But one topic I specifically wanted to address with Irina, because I think it's also a very important aspect of every festival. There's 2 tendencies for festivals. There's festivals that are, in the first place, addressing audience through schools, or festivals that are targeting family audiences in their spare time. For your festival, working with schools is essential. Why and how do you do it?
I think we have, we are a cultural association, and we have como é que se diz? Uma obrigação? A mission, yeah, that's it, thank you. And we think that if we work with the schools, because as you were saying, it's much easier to make schools come, because you can contact a professor that likes cinema to come. I think we can go through a public that it's not so easy to reach in the cinema. So and I would like to talk to 1 or 2 experience that we are having from some years now, that is like an educational program that we called Program of Film Festival, that has 2 things that I think are really great. One, it's that we involve students. The other, we involve the professors. And the professors sometimes, in Portugal, we live this nowadays are really, it's really hard to be professor these days, like the society is not supporting such an important job. And I feel that this educational program, it's something that reaches to the professors like, oh, I like cinema. I discovered that this is good for me. And if it's good for me, I feel happy and relaxed and I want. And I can spread that happiness with my kids, with my students. So what we do, it's we invite one class, imagine, or 2 or 3 or 4, to program with us the films, the festival in Porto and in Lisbon too, but not so much. And we are with the professor. We work first of all with the professor. We talk a little bit about the films, about what is this, that why when we are programming, we are making a decision. So we are showing this and not that, and that's like a political agenda. So it's important because you are show something that it's important or it's not, and you are putting some directors aside, so some films aside. So it's incredible because okay, they can get to see films in first time. They have that opportunity to decide and to show in the festival, and that's important for the kids and the professor. At the same time, we in some way involve families that are normally not coming so much to the cinema because we work with mainly with the public schools that sometimes are from places that have kids have not so much money, so it's a way to trying to reach these people. And the other thing, it's for us as programmers, for the ones that choose the films to see, it's been really like we are adults now, but we are choosing films for children and for adolescents, and there's something that sometimes we are not connected because we are not adolescents anymore or children anymore. So to talk with them and decide together, it's really been great. So it's something that we are very happy to do, and I think it's good to share that experience, because in the end, when all this is, we program the films, and then the festival comes, and when the festival comes, the kids come to present the session. They are with the professor and the other staff of the festival. Sometimes they get to know the directors of the films they have chosen. For instance, this is something that happened in Porto, and it was really great. It was like a lucky coin or something. You know that film do João Gonzalez that is here in play? The kids from the secondary school chose this film. And we had the news that the film went to the Oscars, and everyone was, oh! And the kids were really like empowered because they selected the film, and there was their decisions, and they could speak with the director because he's from Porto, and they were all together. And that's like the festival has this kind of things that puts everyone together. It's like a party, a cinema party, a family party, a school party. So that's it.
So what we are talking about is the importance of schools for festivals. Is there anybody in the panel who wants to add something about working with schools and how important they are?
It's absolutely important to work with schools, and it's a very good way to get into communities and places that you couldn't do it otherwise. In our case, we have our main event in Pyrgos and also have screenings in other places around. And there's a very good example, actually it's our best example this year, that in the city of Lecce now, it's around 2,500 actually, people, it's a town actually. We had 1,500 people attending in more than one screening, of course. But it's a very interesting approach to this could only happen through schools, of course.
Teresa doesn't know it yet, but we secretly made her a 5th or a 6th panel member. So Please, Teresa, tell us, how is it in play? How is the importance of schools?
It is very important to us, of course. We happen for 9 days, and 5 days are all directed to schools. So we think that if we become also the process of teaching, if we become part of the process, if we help teachers to talk about subjects that otherwise wouldn't go to schools, like gender problems or bullying or whatever, I think festivals can have a huge, how do you say, a big presence in changing school also. And of course, bringing schools here, we involve all the community. Although it's a big city, it also does that.
I just add something. We, of course, also cooperate with schools long time ago. And we have a special order system. They can choose what they want. And what I think is very important is that the content selected by us is safe for them. So safe. So we have a special age categories which are recommended to them. And it's really important to know that they can believe in us, that we are doing it well and good for these children. Because normally in our cinemas, it's the age limit for all films, it's 12, and at 12 plus. But there are big distances, because I think that's absolutely something else. If it's for children, they are 5 or 6 or 7, and then 12. So this is also very important to know it and to do it.
And to create trust with the schools.
Yeah, create
in
trust.
Your
Yeah,
initiative.
create trust. Yeah.
Another.
Can I just add, it's hard work. I don't know, for us it was very difficult to get into schools. I don't know, I would like to hear you if it's been to convince teachers to come. Now it's better.
Yeah, I think, well, we've been working in Lisbon for a long time, so it's like a trust. I think it's about trust. When you get to bring people, it's like if you have a good experience, you come back. Sometimes the good experience can be very, we think we are making a good experience, and there's always someone that sometimes doesn't like it. It's life, right? But I think it's about trust, and it's about really a formiguinha ant job. You have to. So that's why I think it's so important to always be in touch with the professors, making other events that can help professors, like we were talking about before. Like we normally do antevisão. I don't know how you say it in English. It's like an event before the festival starts, that we show some of the films that we are going to screen, even for professors that never came before, if they want to come and talk a little bit about what we normally program, because it's a big responsibility to the schools to come and not have a good experience. So I think things like that, involving the professors, like in a good way,
And Irina, do you think teachers see potential in films for teaching, or what do they think it's?
I think this is a question that is really difficult, because what I believe really, it's that it's not the teacher, it's the person. If you are a curious person,
That's true.
you will always go for it. So what I think is that if you like if the teacher gets touched by the thing that she's seeing or he's seeing, something will happen, and it will happen for good. If not, but that is a thing about the person.
The person, no, that was the good response. Very good.
Can I have Sergio adding something?
My experience is cinema inside the school. So imagine how sometimes we go to the playground, we are in school territory, but we are a cinema. And the things that I've been happening to us is that sometimes we have different energies, different agendas. The teachers want to use cinema as a tool to teach, and we want to take them art, emotion. So that conflict, I think, is where we can grow up our relation. And sometimes the teachers, we ask always the teachers, give us some input of themes that you want us to show to the kids. And we need to take them more surprisingly. We have to surprise the kids. We have to surprise the teachers. But we sometimes have a beautiful conflict. I think it's beautiful because we are different. We work in art. They work with teaching. So we can do something in common, but we have different main missions.
Yeah, and you can take the you can take the teachers out of the comfort zone, which is good for the kids too.
Yeah.
They learn. I think that's amazing what you've said.
But that's not very good for the teachers sometimes.
No, I think it's good. I'm a teacher, so I have to
It's not
defend.
necessary to let them know that this happens.
I was just thinking about something because of the pandemic and the thing that you were saying, that when we go to the schools, and our job too, I think, it's to bring people to the cinema. Like you were saying, we need to get that community exchange, because when we go to a school session, we all feel that we feel things together. We feel that boy over there was like, oh my God, what is going, and the other one, and the people interact, and that's one of the greatest thing about cinema. So we really need to try to come, because this is nice, this is good for us. So, and some will take it, some won't, because of the life, of everything.
And I would like to add something that my experience is regarding the teachers, that we have to also educate not only children and students, but also the teachers. Because I remember that they're very afraid to watch, for instance, Indian film, and then better would like to go to the Czech movie or Czech fairy tale, which is available everywhere. Because they were afraid, oh, what is waiting for them there? And if it's possible to watch it with children, of course it is, because we would like to bring them another world, another kind of life, you know. So it's about education, the teachers as well, and about the trust.
I think that also cinema, it's a physical experience. Like you were saying, like Indian films or something. Last edition of Indie Junior, we had some archive films, and they were really like boring in a way. They were not so boring, but really slow. And the kids were like, because we are not used to, or even I was like, because it was about the dictatorship, and I was like, oh my God. But at the same time, that experience, I think it's a good experience. If we can maybe then later talk a little bit about that, what we felt, it was not good. But sometimes films don't give us always joy. They give us things to think about, things to feel. And that body experience is something that professors, everyone will feel. So it's great. But sometimes people are not into it, to have this experience.
Olá, boa tarde. Vou falar em português. Sim. O que eu queria dizer duas coisas. Em relação àquilo que o Sérgio disse e em relação à questão dos professores, nós não podemos, primeiro, generalizar. Segundo, se o professor for um cinéfilo, não faz dicotomia nenhuma entre a experiência estética e a instrumentalização do filme. Isso é fundamental. Eu concordo em relação à formação de professores, mas eu ia mais longe, é a formação dos adultos. Porque o exemplo aqui que deram de não haver audiências, espectadores em Faro, prova isso mesmo. Falta formar adultos, educar adultos para a irem ao cinema. Depois, a outra coisa que eu estava aqui a perguntar-me, o indie, de facto, é maravilhoso, mas há apenas em Lisboa e no Porto. Eu estou em Amarante e interessa-me os miúdos que não têm possibilidades de se deslocar a lado nenhum. A minha pergunta é muito direta, que é: porque é que também não há extensões? Por exemplo, eu faço extensões de cinema, faço extensões de mostra.
Há extensões.
Nas escolas?
Nas escolas não. Nós
É isso que eu me estou a referir.
Nós não, we don't, entendes inglês?
Sim, muito bem.
We don't
Entendo
make
muito bem,
extensions in schools only if we have, like you were saying, a good capacity to do that. Because we only work with films that are from directors, and we cannot do that. Because we are not going to show the films in not good technical conditions. We cannot do that.
Mas para isso era preciso perceber se haveriam essas condições estariam satisfeitas.
No,
não é?
if there are, we do
okay.
it. If there are, we do it, of course. No, of course.
Ótimo.
Yes.
Okay,
If there is,
obrigada.
it's okay.
Claro. Não, já está em Valongo, é o que o Sérgio está a dizer. Sim. E vai ter que ir a Amarante, é evidente. É evidente, of course, é evidente.
I appreciate a little bit of chaos, but 4 people talking at the same time without microphones in 2 different languages, I'm sorry, but that's too much for me. So yeah, it seems that the work with the schools is kind of stirring some curiosity or some excitement. Can I take it one step further and really hunt for a little bit of sensation now? A little bit of sensation that I want to be hunting for. Because I noticed over the last couple of days that when I brought up some topics, people said, yeah, but we cannot do that in Portugal. In Scandinavia and in the Netherlands, you can show almost everything to children and get away with it. In the UK, you have to be very careful with specific language problems, specific words that you should not use. Our recent experiences last year, to our surprise in a way, was that in Germany and Poland, traditional Catholic countries, we should be very careful with LGBT-connected content. What are specific challenges in terms of content in your countries, and are you as programmers of a festival, are you confronted with it all the time? And how would it be different in your country than in your country? And I realize there's a little bit maybe of sensation involved, like tell us the secret and what is the forbidden fruit. But it makes me curious how every programmer in every country has to take, and we can just go from right to left.
Yeah, I think that the solution to this kind of challenges that are coming up when you select something that's kind of tricky is that you should be selecting good films for a start, which is, I mean, it's a matter of quality of the content, and then anything is possible. I have to recall
I was hunting for sensation, and you give me this perfectly morally responsible answer.
No, it's not a morally responsible answer. I'm saying that whatever you're going to show, you can do it, and you can do it even in an environment where you could say that it's not possible. It's interesting, now we're talking about LGBTQ issues and LGBTQ films. It's interesting to see that one of the first films in 1997, the first competition in, do you remember the title, Felix? There was this, a film about a young boy that wants to dress like a girl. This was the wording now, and then, now we would say that it's a girl in a transition. And it was a film that was okay to screen in 1997 in Pyrgos. Obviously, nobody, it's not the reason that Dimitri selected it back then was not, the fact that it belongs to a category that should be in the program, but it was a good film, and then it also had this subject. I think if you go the other way around, this is the way, and this is the way to go, and especially regarding LGBT films. I've seen a lot of LGBT films in LGBT festivals that are not good films, but they are part of a genre, which is also a trap. So if you program with a, you know, if you're daring in terms of quality of how a film is, you know, how it's made, and what are its qualities, then you can actually show anything.
Yeah, but I heard complaints about films because the parents were divorced. I mean, that's even...
If they want.
So in our country and in our festival, I try to be open, and because I think that we are living in the modern and open society more maybe than in Poland. But it's different that you are going to the cinema with school and with the teacher or with the parents, because if you are there with parents, is it much better, and it could be the age recommendation could be lower, because the parents, they can speak about it with these children. And I'm not speaking about violence or, I don't know, sex or this, but about understanding these things.
Exactly, because this week you told me, yeah, but this film's about migration. It's not really something in our country. It's not in the same way involved in society as in your country. So it doesn't have to go about extreme content. It's also about migration, divorce,
Of course,
loneliness, whatever.
Yeah, because this is also very important. I need that the children need to understand it, the content. Yeah.
What about the Portuguese part of the panel?
Well, when you were asking that, I thought about, imagine a film that's about, for instance, the subject is the content is about immigration or something, and I think this is maybe, I don't know if it's me or if it's a cultural thing, but imagine I can find that there's some films in the north of Europe that go straight to the subject in a way that for me sometimes it's really strong. It's like we are not used to take work these, see these in this such a strong way. So if I have a good film that goes in a very strong way, or if I have a good film that goes in the same subject, but in a light, like subtle way, I would prefer, because I think it's like a cultural thing. I can understand that there's some differences.
Your both approaches fit perfectly well together. First you need a good film, and then you can only
I think
hope that it goes in the right...
But also, we have, like, because the context you were saying about the thing is about the school, we also, sometimes because we have this educational program, and before we didn't have, and sometimes we had some professors that, how can you show a film about war? This is so wrong to show a film about war for kids. This is so difficult. Yes, but life has a lot of things. It's not just nice things. So I think if so what I was just an example, last year in this program we had a professor that was saying that she wouldn't want to show a film for the students because it was about gay things. So in the north of Portugal we still live this kind of, everywhere, not in north, I'm saying north of Portugal, but it has to do with the context that in the schools, I think we have to be more subtle when we...
Still, I very much liked your imitation of a Portuguese teacher.
She's very good.
I very much liked your interpretation of imitation of a Portuguese teacher. You were very convincing.
I should go to theater
we go
or
to the secret fifth panel member. Secret fifth panel member, reveal your identity and tell us about your experience in the Play Festival.
Oh, yes. I would like to say something. I think programming for children is one of the most difficult things, because we are trying to do something that is absolutely impossible, which is to be almost a child and try to think like a child. So when we try to choose movies, it's really, really hard. We have a second chance every time we program to be a child again, which for us, I think it's amazing, but it's really very difficult. What has happened to us as festival, this year we had a complaint about having a film about divorce. We showed a documentary about divorce, and so a teacher, she complained. And I remember on our first year, we were very immature. There was this complaint about a bad word that was said in the film. So things are better now. I think we have less complaints, but I think programming is really, really, really hard for children, at least.
And what about the translation? There was once we had a film that was fuck off or something, and we were like, how can we translate that for
True,
Portuguese?
that's also. We don't translate. Or we translate in a good way.
Yeah, but that's the painful part, is that that's the biggest problem for the UK. Because they are always confronted with other films from other European countries where they use this word as a normal, something that we say all the time. But in the UK they cannot show it because for them it really means something. And I saw really festival programs in the UK struggling with it because we are using bad English language all the time as a habit that grew into our own vocabulary. But for them it really means something, so they are. How are we with time? Because I still have loads of thrilling questions that I want to, but I think we should also. Actually, I have one more question that I want to ask before we go. Do we have time for that? No, okay, no, then it's okay. But it was for the good of your festival. It was just for your benefit, but okay. No, it's okay.
Yeah, hi. I just want to ask, because you talked a lot about school screenings and school audiences. I wanted to know how you work with more family audiences and how you get the parents to take their kids to school. And this might be maybe a bit more relevant for example, Indy Junior, who works in very big cities with a lot of cultural offer and a lot of activities. How do you convince, in a way, to get the parents?
Can you say it again in Portuguese? I couldn't hear.
Sim, claro. Porque foi muito falado das sessões de escolas e o trabalho feito com as escolas, e eu queria saber como é que é o trabalho feito com as famílias. Como é que, da mesma maneira que convencem as escolas a virem aos festivais, como é que convencem os pais a levarem os miúdos aos festivais e às sessões de cinema?
With schools we have we work since the beginning of the elective year, and we come with the families. We use the normal communication like the festivals have, like newsletters. We go to Facebook, Instagram, and I cannot tell you so much about that because it's not. I don't do it so much. We try, of course, to have a program that is interesting for families, that we have parallel activities, like we make a party too, because it's in the summer here in Lisbon, not in Porto, but we make a party in Porto too, but it's indoor, because we feel that the time for family, it's a time with for the adults too, because they are parents. We all feel that we need to relax, and it's good to have a moment that it's with cinema, good cinema, and also to socialize. So what we try is to program things that can be interesting for adults that are parents too. So that's the way. And then the communication, it's made with a different, like we have magazines, we put things in the place where families are. We try to, by the school, say, oh, we have also a program for families in the weekends, so if you want to say to the parents. But the communication really, how it's targeted, I don't know, because I know there's a lot of things like you can do in Facebook, but I don't know about that so much. No, it's everyone. But what I can say for what my job is in the festival, it's more schools, because we have a communication department that for families, because families, they decide whatever they want to do. We have the most important thing is to get to information. Look, this is here if you want to come, and that's what we try to do in communication. We don't call or things like that.
In Belgium, I work for a festival that mainly addresses family audiences, and the remarkable thing there is that the hardest part to attract the audience are the films. We have very easily, we find audiences for workshops. and then you call them master classes, and even more kids come, and you include gaming workshops, and kids will come, and acting and stunt and whatever. We have loads of workshops, and they are always sold out. We have a media lab where we do, where kids can come for like gaming experiment. It's not really gaming, but there's this experimental setups with audio-visual games and everything. That is very easy to find your audience. And then from there on, you might try to get them into the cinema. But getting family audiences directly involved, like this is a good film and you should come and watch it, that's the hardest part. And of course, we succeed every now and then, and we try to succeed for every film. But you need to find in every film this one specific topic that you think this might, from a family point of view, this might attract your audience. What about you, Marketa?
And of course, it's not possible to compare our festival, but I have experience from Athens and Budapest, which are both capitals. And the festival takes place in the very famous venue. So I think that also is very, very important, the venue, festival venue, because these, they are, for instance, national museums or theaters, and these organizations, they already have their own audience, and they are able to send them the offer of the festival, which is, I think it's really very, very important.
Or you do it very locally, in a center in one part of the city that has a very strong appeal to its own inhabitants.
It could be.
Can I say something about that? There was this discussion earlier about children films, and directors don't like to make children films because they're too simple. I think this is the same thing starts from directors and ends up to the audience, where parents might believe that content that's meant for children is something that's something that's not worth to watch. I think we need to, obviously this is not the case for much of the available films, and I'm sure that we're always trying to screen the best available films. At the same time, you need to overcome this misconception of what is a film for children. So the term family film comes from America, more or less, and it is a very successful, commercially a very successful genre. And in our case, we are small, and we're trying to overcome this overall idea that children are they would be okay with something simple that can keep them they can you can have a Peppa Pig on YouTube and the kid will stay there all day long if you have something to do. But this is the key point where you have to bring in it's also about awareness. It's not only about a specific film and the appeal of a specific film, but it's also about creating a kind of an experience for a family one time, and then they're going to come back because they like it. And also bringing together the parents with the kids, watching something together and discussing it afterwards, and all this kind of stuff. That's, I mean, you build it up. You cannot do it there's no recipe for that.
Can I ask you one last favor, because time is running, time is up, more or less. I would like to ask the four of you, one sentence, what you wish to the Play Festival for the future. This wonderful festival that hosts us today.
I wish you... Sorry, you first.
You. Many successful editions with lots of people attending, and the first generation of audience bringing in their own children in the future.
So it's the same. So I wish you a huge audience and many satisfied students, children, families, and all the things. And money, of course. This is also very important.
Oh, well. Look under your chair. This is
lots of money.
More Portuguese films, good quality Portuguese films. And I would like to share this with you, that I really like you to exist, because I think you are great programmers, and I've always thought, oh my God, this is great. So for me as programmer, it's good to have you, because I always go and discover new things, so thanks a lot for that.
I wish that play can fill the houses as they fill this cinema on Saturdays and Sundays, more days during the year, and they can go lots of places out of Lisbon. And they can go to my city as well, and they can go to small villages, and I wish that this first encounter of people thinking and talking about cinema for kids could be continue and result in something in political.
That's exactly where I wanted to end this conversation, because when I was asking about one more question that we had, it was about the role of a festival in the developing a national production industry. So besides a beautiful audience, a big audience, a wonderful, funky, sexy panel all the time on stage, whatever, what I wish you in the first place is this booming in the national film industry, and that you can surf on waves of Portuguese cinematic success. Thank you so much for having us here, and good luck with the festival.
Catarina, just want to show a spot from the Beatriz. It's about the European Cine Club, right? European Young Cine Club.
Film Club, the European Film Club, to be a space where me and other people can meet in a safe environment about their perspectives openly and honestly, and learn more about their own culture and the culture of others.
First off, it's a way to know more about movies. It's a way to get a movie education, even without accessing film schools and so on. It's a way for everybody, any European teenager, to know more about movies, to enjoy movies with their peers.
This co-creation process of the European Film Club has really, it's like a breath of fresh air, I would say.
On the other hand, I think it's also to create a sense of European community.
This has been an enjoyable experience. I've gotten to know different people's cultures, different people's views and opinions.
I just feel like I'm doing something incredible and something special.
All these people just from different places, but you're really fundamentally the same, and I think that's really cool.
I love meeting new people and doing stuff together. I like teamwork, and that is exactly what European Film Club does.
I want people to be able to see this and think to themselves, this sounds really fun, I want to be part of this.